What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the other day we actually got some more details from DICE from one of their multiplayer showcase events in Hong Kong, where they actually went over some more precise details. Some things that sound really good, but others, I gotta be honest, are not the best details that I wanted to hear. But of course, I'm going to be covering the good, the bad, all of the above, and hopefully you guys can share your opinions down in the comment section below. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and dive right on in. And again, I'm not going to be showcasing all of this on the screen because it's a lot to go ahead and show, and it'll probably take up the whole screen. So I'll leave a link down in the description of this video to the post that I'm discussing if you guys want to read along. But it starts off by saying this: DICE wants to choose, based on fan and player requests, the best possible classic builds or maps to bring back the good old days of playing Battlefield. So what I wanted to see you guys go ahead and do is go down in the comments section and let me know what you guys think should be reintroduced into Battlefield 6 when it comes down to the classics. And I'm not talking about going into Portal and a remake and everything, because I know everybody wants Metro and, lockers. And, I'm also going to throw this out. Give me some maps that aren't Metro and Locker. The same thing that we see all the time, the same requests, although we don't really see it too frequently. But let's be honest, those are the hottest maps. I want to see some maps that aren't really heavily talked about. I want to see some unique ones thrown out there. So please go down in the comment section and fill it on up. Next up here, the game will have many seasonal events with new weapons, modes, and maps. Honestly, I kind of already expected that. I just hope that these events aren't too far and in between, because although for me personally, I am not someone who needs content to play a game. If the game is fun, I'll just simply play the game. But as time goes on and the gaming scene grows, you can definitely see that gamers require content. Again, it's sad. It really truthfully is sad, because people used to play games because the games were really fun and enjoyable. But that's no longer the case. People want to hop into a game to keep them occupied and give them something to grind for, something to work towards, common goals. And I don't blame them whatsoever. But content is a crucial key factor to the longevity of a lot of these live service games. So although they're stating that we're going to be getting many seasonal events with weapons, modes, and maps, I hope it's at a frequent pace, and it's not like the previous Battlefield games, where we gotta wait months and months and months and months on end just to get one singular map introduced. We can't have that same situation happen with this current Battlefield, ladies and gentlemen. They have to leave that mentality in the past and hopefully evolve from that and give us something a little bit better. I understand the maps are harder to make, they're bigger, they're more complex. But again, they had plenty of time to go ahead and put this game together. A lot of knowledge from Battlefield 2042 on how to handle things and what the community wants out of the maps. So I'm really keeping my fingers crossed that they can come out banging this time around. Next up here is something that I'm not too happy with, but as it reads, AI soldiers will backfill the servers if they're underpopulated. Their game design philosophy is to allow as many players as possible to play at the same time, though. I don't care what the philosophy is. AI bots in Battlefield suck. Absolutely ruin the experience. It's horrible. I hate bots in any game. Any game that's introduced it. I understand if the servers aren't really popping and they need people to, go ahead and fill them up, they have to put in some bots to make it a little bit more active until people can actually fill in those bot spots. But nothing's worse than, like 2042, having a half a game go through while only versing bots. Now, this might not be the same situation because 2042 is a dead game, right? And Battlefield 6 might not be a dead game. It might actually pull in a lot of players, so we don't have to worry about bots having to fill in spots. But I got to be real with you guys. I think I'm pretty scarred from it, from a lot of games using bots, and I despise them a lot. So I'm getting my fingers crossed that Portal, when they do go ahead and reveal it, does have some good filters to allow you to put together official servers, so you don't have to deal with bots, especially if you're playing, more of the down times of Battlefield 6, and you're more likely to get AI in your lobby. During those moments, it might be good just to go into Portal, find a lobby, and just stick in with that lobby and, not have to worry about backing out, having them repopulate the server again. I think that's one of the biggest reasons why people liked the server browser as well, right? Because you didn't have to get booted out of the game and put together another server after it just took an hour to get that server together, It happens all the time in 2042. It takes the full game to get everybody in there with no bots. You finally get it, then everybody gets booted, and they have to do the same thing. You hop into another game that has 10 people, you have to fill it up with bots, takes a whole game again to repopulate it, and everybody gets booted out. So, keeping my fingers crossed, that won't be too much of an issue, but I want to know what you guys think about AI soldiers down in the comment section below. Next up here, DICE says Battlefield 6 will receive regular quarterly updates. Hopefully, we can see some more updates than just quarterly, because I think that, having good communication and keeping their community in the loop is very, very, very crucial. I don't want to be, waiting every handful of months to hear from the devs. Now, they probably mean actual real beefy updates, right? But I'm hoping in between they might have some dev talks, some blog posts, just things to keep the community intrigued with the game, interacting with the game, and keeping us up to date on what they're planning on, working with moving into the future. Next here, we're not aiming for complete destruction of entire areas, like turning a battlefield into a parking lot with nothing left. Instead, we aim to create interesting, environmentally stimulating effects through destruction, primarily creating interesting scene changes. Now, this is something that I completely agree with. And it's going to be a little bit of a hot take because I think a lot of the Battlefield community does like that complete levolution where just everything gets grounded. But personally, especially being an infantry guy, I don't like when everything can just be basically taken to the ground and then, you're basically left with open fields and tanks just, reigning supreme because nobody has any more cover. I think that this is the perfect way of handling it, have intense, insane looking destruction that could be interacted with by everybody and can actually be used as cover, and different things can be, incorporated with your gameplay style with this type of destruction in Battlefield 6. But at the same time, it's not overwhelming to the point, like I said, where everything gets leveled and there's no more cover and the map is basically useless and nothing else to do. I think that they found a nice in-between from the gameplay that I've seen, and I can't wait to go ahead and dive on deep into the beta so I can actually give my full criticism of how the destruction actually feels. Next up here, combat zones are customized for each map, and they're chosen differently to optimize the gameplay experience. All I've got to say to this one is I hope that the combat zones are better than 2042. That's all I gotta say. 2042 had the worst combat zones known to mankind. You were just always stuck in the open. The combat had no flow to it. From what I see from the gameplay, the combat zones look perfect when it comes to Battlefield 6. And for anybody that's curious about what a combat zone is, basically, they're like sections of the maps that are pre-planned by the developers to be the hot spots of the map. So, the developers are planning, okay, here, and here in this map are going to be where a lot of combat kind of happens, where everybody starts, colliding. That's what a combat zone is. And again, like I said, in 2042 was a disaster. I just hope that they can nail it within Battlefield 6. And so far, again, from what I've seen, looks pretty dang good. Next up, Battlefield 6's Gunplay is the best and most sophisticated in the series. This is something I'm curious to see because, again, I've seen 50-50 opinion-wise on if the guns are beamish or if they actually take a bit more skill. We're going to find out. We got one more day and I'll be able to dive on deep and I'll finally be able to see if the gunplay is truly sophisticated in the way that, DICE is trying to make it out to be. Next here, DICE on Battlefield 6's time to kill system. This is a little bit of a beefy one, but it begins saying, we've done in-depth research on time to kill. In fact, in Battlefield 6, we'll be dealing with complex gunfights and environments. Time to kill is typically fastest in close combat, where it's very fast, and the scenes we've shown in the trailers are mostly close combat. We've actually done a lot of testing on the game itself, as well as a lot of historical experience. And based on this experience, we found the most enjoyable and comfortable combat situations for players. Based on our own experience, the time to kill in the dynamic battlefields of Battlefield 6 needs to be fast enough to keep up with the changes on the battlefield. So when designing the TK system, we used a lot of data analysis to reach the current results, but we'll definitely listen to the players' voices and feedback. The game will continue to evolve, and we'll learn and adjust based on player feedback. This is something that I'm actually kind of comfortable with, because when I watch the gameplay, again, it seems like the time to kill is not too bad. It looks very solid, depending on if you're up close and personal, medium range. I didn't really see too much long-range engagements besides people sniping a little bit. A lot of it was pretty action-packed, up close and personal. So I am curious what the long-range engagements are going to look like, especially when people start tapping into the BR experience. I wonder what the time to kill is going to be looking like in that. But overall, from what I've seen, the time to kill looks very solid. I'm pretty pleased. And as always, it is just beautiful to hear that the developers are just going to continuously work on this. That's what makes me the happiest, And that's what's putting a lot of faith, for me personally, in DICE. Every step of the way, they have been taking our constructive criticism and implementing it into the game. Every single thing that I've seen people worried about, stressed about, panicking about, within the alpha, the playtest, has almost been resolved, if not completely resolved, within the current build of the game. And they already claim that's not it. They're going to keep pushing forward, and a lot of the things like time to kill, gunplay, I'm assuming movement, maps, layouts, OBJ points. Like I said, I can't name them all. It's a lot of things the developers have already stated they are planning on working on. But moving forward from the beta, they are indeed going to take these things into account and work on them. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a beta, okay? This isn't a glorified demo, which it probably is to EA to some degree, because a lot of these AAA companies, let's be real here, when they have a beta out, 9 times out of 10 is just to go ahead and showcase the game. But the devs truly want to build off of this foundation. They truly want to build off of this beta. So although they probably will use this beta as marketing and stress testing the servers, a lot of our feedback is going to be crucial for what the final build of Battlefield 6 is going to be. Now keep in mind, some things won't be able to be changed. The foundation of Battlefield 6 is already set, and some things, once it left alpha, are not going to be shifted. They're grounded, and it's no longer changeable. But, as I stated, things like time to kill and, some OBJ layout, the things I already listed can still be changed. So keep in mind that not everything can be resolved, but some of the features can be. And keep your eyes peeled for these type of changes so you can see how they feel, your opinion on them. And of course, I'm going to be making plenty of videos on this channel discussing all of these different details within Battlefield 6. And I hope I'll see you guys here down in the comment section leaving your opinions as well, because that's the best way to go ahead and spread this information, right? Going ahead and talking about it, discussing it, and really trying to come down to a conclusion on what we as a community think is best for the overall Battlefield 6 product. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Don't forget subscribing and hit that bell. I post here daily at 8 in the morning Eastern Time. Everything between COD, Battlefield, Splitgate 2, Arc Raiders, and sometimes we even go ahead and hit a double upload. Typically, it's around like 5 p.m. Eastern Time, like this video right here. So don't forget, subscribe, hit that bell so you can stay notified on everything that goes live on this channel. And last but not least, I do stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch, starting between 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And actually tomorrow, since the beta is going to be going ahead and beginning, don't forget, guys, you do get access to the Battlefield 6 closed beta if you watch 30 minutes of any stream that's, of someone who's playing Battlefield 6. So if you want to come on through, say hello, and just hang out for 30 minutes, you'll go ahead and get access to the closed beta and try the game out for yourself. So, of course, if you guys are interested, go link that channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all next one. Peace out.